So this is my design thinking diary for week 10. So first, this is just the iterative approach that I used for going through the process, going through the design portfolio, so different stages and kind of how I went through it. So I did go through it in a linear fashion, but then I was kind of bouncing back, just depending on what I was actually doing. So that happened a bit through. So firstly, I just did a bit on evaluation. So key points to note before we begin, just that evaluation is a key part of the whole thing, and that it must be completed throughout and at all stages. So I should be evaluating myself the whole time. And then just using the OEC rubric to see how I'm doing that. So firstly, just went through the module problem statement. So I just analysed that first myself just to have a better understanding of it. Then started into my exploration and need finding. So I started off with a mood board here. Then I really kind of got into the need finding, so trying to identify a problem. And I suppose mental health was the key thing that I was looking at first. So that's kind of where I was going. I was then looking at keying in on like anxiety and stuff like that. And yeah, I came up with my design brief then. It was just design and realise a sustainable creative artifact that will address the need of a young person suffering with OCD. So OCD was the mental issue that I was kind of nailing down with this problem. So then onto initial ideas. This is just how I went about it. I kind of had two sections, so one for artifacts and the other for waste, and then just did a quick evaluation myself. So onto the discovery and the analysis. So I found this handy, just getting a few ideas of all the requirements. So I just noted a few quick things in each box. Then analysing the issues that I was dealing with. So the environmental issue was obviously deforestation, so that's the main one, the main environmental issue, and we're dealing with that by using the 80-20 ratio, so upcycling the material that we've used, and that's how we're dealing with an environmental issue. So then looking at the environmental and social issue, so I kind of was trying to make a link between mental health and it being an environmental issue as well as a social issue. So I was kind of looking at that caring for your environment has a positive effect on your mental health, and that came from the UN Environment Programme. So I was kind of thinking that if this is the case, it would also mean that mental health could be seen as an environmental issue as well as obviously a big social issue. So then I was just looking back at the brief and thinking, where could I go next, having done all this? So how can I actually provide temporary relief, as you can see up here? How can I actually provide that for somebody that is suffering with OCD? So the best thing that I found to do was a case study, and that came up in my research later on. Firstly, I just went about kind of a few sentences on my local environment and what's around me in relation to my environment and well-being. Then the interview, so this is probably the most beneficial thing that I did to date, and I learned a lot from it. So it was just with a 19-year-old male that is suffering with OCD, and yeah, I just really learned a lot from it and got a few ideas on how I could make something that could actually help them. So this is the material that I'd sourced. It was a jointed pine door, and I suppose I just kind of looked at the life cycle of it then. So it came from Woody's, but there's obviously a lot more to it than that. So the plant could be brought over from Scotland, grown in Ireland, cut down, felled. I think that picture is from somewhere up in Mayo. It's obviously seasoned then, manufactured down to correct sizes, distributed out to manufacturers where they make the doors, and distributed to shops such as Woody's then. So that's just a quick life cycle of that. So another material that I sourced was a steel plate. So it came from Eaton Steel, but obviously there's more to it than that. So steel is usually imported into Ireland from the United Kingdom, and obviously transported through boat into docks like Bantry Bay, and there is a steel factory then, O'Dwyer Steel Factory in Tipperary, which is the main distributor for Heat and Buckley Steel. So investigation is something that I'm actually not really 100% sure of, so I was hoping to talk about that in the feedback session on Wednesday. Like, I kind of think that it's to do with ergonomics and like that, selecting the right information, but I'm not sure as of yet. So the create, then solving the problem, just the developed ideas that I had. So this was the first thing that we did. So this was one of my first ideas, and we did a peer feedback reviews in the Dieter Rams. So I suppose this was kind of the scores that I got were high. So I probably would have been hoping for like actual more critical feedback, which would have benefited me more when actually coming up with designs and like, is it a good design? I just kind of felt like the person I was with was just kind of soft on me, afraid that they might hurt my feelings or something when I was just looking for their honest opinion of it. So I did actually get a few things from it, and these are just a few of the quick adjustments that I made. Then I looked at how to go about the realization, so just a few different things that I could do in relation to making it. Then I looked at the options that I have for making my developed design, how I would go about making it, the sizes of the materials that were required, and then when I was coming up with my design, just how I went about making decisions and trying to come up with new things. So evolving my ideas using critical reflection. So that we're just looking at the base here. So start off with divergent thinking. So come up with ideas, create choices for myself, then go back to convergent thinking, which is making decisions on the choices you've made and to come up with a solution then. So that's just an example there for the base. So I had two options and I kind of went with the jigsaw one and kind of blended them together then as well. Experimenting then. So this was something that I did after making it. So just tested the rotating slot. So if it would actually be able to hold, if it would actually be able to do its job and hold necessary items like phones, whatever it could be used for. So that was just one of the experiments that I've done, and I have a few more that I must yet put in. The realized ends to make. So it's a high fidelity model we have to make, but I still kind of have the material and equipment to process it fairly good. A few of the joints and stuff mightn't be great, but I feel like I'll just learn the most from actually trying to make it anyway, and I'll be able to identify the majority of the problems and other areas like that. So just a couple of problems that I have so far was attaching the threaded bar to the base and attaching the rotating slots for other storage. So that this slide then just shows how I went about solving them problems. And I hope to continue like that for the completion of the project as well. So that's me finished for the week 10 monologue.